Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Business Communications at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is give you just a little bit of feedback on the Chapter 5 activities that I finished grading yesterday morning. And then I'm going to tell you what we've got coming up due for our Chapter 6 and 7 activities, and also remind you about the Project 1 activity, which is due here in just a couple of weeks, so you should be getting started on that as well. So first thing is, like I said, I did finish grading the Chapter 5 activities yesterday. If you haven't already gone in and looked at your grades for those activities and read the grading comments, go ahead and do that as soon as you can, and let me know if you have any questions at all. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Most of you did very well on the Chapter 5 assignment. And like I always tell you, I really appreciate the time and effort that you're putting in to doing the work for this class. So keep up the good work on that. The Chapter 5 objective test, most of you also did well on that as well. So keep up the good work on that as well. Remember, you can take those tests as many times as you want to up until the due date, and your highest grade is automatically recorded. All right, so that brings us to what we've got coming up due for our next set of activities. So if you'll look under week 6, right now we're on the end of week 5 on the activities page, but our next set of activities are due next week, which is week 6. So if you'll look under week 6, we've got the Chapter 6 and 7 assignment, test, and discussion all due by Thursday of next week, which is September 25th. So it's basically 1 week from today. So you've got basically right at a week to be working on these activities and getting them submitted. Now, in Chapter 6, we're going to be learning about good news and neutral news messages. And so you'll learn about something called the deductive or direct sequence, and also the types of good news messages, like routine claims, routine requests, routine messages regarding orders and credit, and procedural messages. All right? And then in Chapter 7, we'll learn about a little bit more complicated messages that we have to do in business, which are bad news messages. So in Chapter 7, you're going to learn about the inductive approach, which is also called the indirect approach to getting your message across. And so you'll learn about developing a bad news message, the wording that you should use in those types of messages. And these are messages like, for example, refusing a request, denying a claim, denying credit, delivering constructive criticism, or communicating negative organizational news. These are all things that you have to use the right approach to be able to get your message across in the most effective way. So the method that you use for your message delivery, your message writing, and so forth, creation, depends on what kind of message it is. So that's basically what you're going to be learning about in Chapters 6 and 7. The different approaches for the different types of messages that you're conveying. All right? And then also I want to remind you, and something we've got coming up here pretty quick, is this Project 1 persuasive letter. All right? Now, we won't actually learn about persuasive messages until Chapter 8, but you need to at least start looking through the Project 1 guidelines and look at the template that I provided for the letter, and all of the videos that I posted about how to create a persuasive letter. You need to at least get started on this project, even though we haven't actually gone and started talking about Chapter 8 yet. That Project 1 is going to take some time. It's going to take some research to do it. And so that's why I want to get you started on it now. Go ahead and at least be looking at it. Kind of think about how you're going to approach it so that you're not trying to do it right at the last minute, right before the due date. Okay? So be looking at that. And I talked about this in the last video as well. But if you haven't already, like I said, looked at Project 1 and kind of laid out a plan of how you're going to approach it, you need to go ahead and do that this week, okay? And get that plan in action, all right? If you have any questions as you're working on it, just let me know and I'll be glad to help you, okay? And that's really all I have for you for today. So be working on those things and have a good rest of your week and weekend. And I will talk to you again either late next week or early the following week. I will talk to you then. Thank you.